Hi guys, I'm just another guy named James, and today I'm going to be talking about the Punisher. The Punisher is one of those Marvel superheroes that has had an interesting publication history. He first appeared in a 1974 issue of Amazing Spider-Man, specifically Amazing Spider-Man number 129. And in this issue, he was kind of an anti-hero villain. He was trying to kill Spider-Man, so I would say he was a villain to Spider-Man. And Punisher kept making these villain anti-hero appearances until 1985, when he was given his own limited series, which was a 5-issue limited series, unlike most, which were 4 issues. And soon after that, he got his own regular monthly comic in 1987, according to the cover date. Later on, he also got a second title called Punisher War Journal and a third title called Punisher Warzone. And there was a time when all 3 of these were running at the same time, so if you were a Punisher fan, you were spending a lot of money. And War Journal, at least, was a little bit more expensive than the average comic. But I'm not taught, and Punisher eventually ended, like all other Marvel comic books from the initial run. The Punisher ended with a story called Countdown, which is not what I'm talking about today, but it's a 5-part story. It covers just look cool, so I wanted to have them here, and I kind of thought that they might be in frame, but they're not. So, anyway, yeah. So that's Punisher's publication history. But that first thing that I mentioned, Punisher, the limited series, aka Circle of Blood, is what I'm going to be talking about today. And it's a really good limited series, a really good story. The best issue of this 5-part series is, in my opinion, the first one. And in this first issue, Punisher is taken to prison. Oh, by the way, I should mention, this story is... Sorry, a fly just flew at my face and freaked me out. So, in this story is written by... The plot is done by Steve Grant, and so is most of the script. The pencils are done by Mike Zeck for the first 4 issues, and Mike Vosberg did the last issue, so that's kind of the important credits. Oh, and John Beatty inked the story. And in this first issue, Punisher is he's being put in prison, which makes sense. He's criminal, does very criminal things. And we're given this kind of cool picture of Punisher jumping. Just a cool picture. I like it. And we see Punisher is feared by everyone in the prison. And it's like a top dog in the prison. Punisher puts him down like he's nothing. And he kind of just gains respect. And there was a time before this when Punisher was sent to jail and he got poisoned. And I'm sure this happened in a Spider-Man story, but I might be wrong. They don't leave you a issue key that says like, oh, if you miss that, it happened here in Amazing or Spectacular Spider-Man ... And everyone's terrified of Punisher. He goes to see the prisoners who are running the prison, beats up the security, the prison security, the prison bodyguards, not the actual security guards. And Jigsaw, who is a character from something else, I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm not too familiar with Punisher's pre-Circle of Blood appearances. And, yeah. And basically he just gets beat up on. And, this Jigsaw guy is trying to trying to kill him for cutting up his face. His face is really ugly. And, yeah. And he's gonna stab him with a bottle, but Punisher grabs his hand, squeezes it, breaks the bottle in his hand, which I imagine hurts bad, like really bad. And, yeah. And then the guards come in, and, you know, there's this bigger crime boss who's in charge of Jigsaw, who Punisher makes a deal with to kind of stop, to kind of break out of prison. Then later, when they're about to break out of prison, the bodyguard for this main prison bad guy tries to assassinate Punisher, and he fails because his assassin used a gun with a homemade silencer, which in this is just a bottle put on top of a gun, and Punisher's mattress is able to stop the bullets. So he's alive, and nobody knows he's alive. They all think he's dead. So he goes to the guard tower to kind of warn him. The guard in this tower is also corrupt, so that's why he like beats up on him. Then the good guy guard, who's also in the tower, is being held at gunpoint, and then Punisher just shoots the guy that's holding him because that's how he does. And honestly, so yeah, So Punisher goes to the warden's kind of prison. Punisher goes to the warden's office. He's in his prison the whole time, and you know, he stops the bad guys who are holding up the warden, and then they're trying to make a deal with him to kind of just have him be like part of this group that they call themselves the Trust. Yeah, the Trust. And there's also this kid who wants the Punisher dead now because the Punisher killed his dad. And then, you know, Punisher goes free, and this is where the story really gets kind of kicked off. And Punisher breaks into the Kingpin's lair, which turns out is abandoned. Although he thinks the Kingpin's still there, but it's just a dead body. Then his building gets blown up. He falls down. He also gets knocked out when he falls. He wakes up with this girl named Angela, I think. Angela. It's a name. I'm bad with names. And then they go to bed together. Punisher calls the Trust and kind of makes a deal with them. And this sequence, by the way, there's a Marvel book from the 90s, and this page is in that book. So if you have that book, that's why that page might look familiar, or sound familiar, I guess, I don't know. So Punisher calls Ben Urich, who is a reporter for the Daily Bugle. Any fans of Daredevil probably know about him. And Punisher tells Ben Urich that Punisher himself killed the Kingpin. And so that's the story that ends up being run in the newspaper. So it's a gang war, and the gangsters are like wiping each other out. And yeah, and that's just the thing that's happening. And one of these gangsters is like, okay, we need to have a peace conference so that we don't kill everyone. And can I just say, Mike Zeck's artwork in this is very good. I like it a lot. So, at this peace meeting, and an assassin, comes in, bug again, and the assassin just comes in and starts machine pistoling everyone and Punisher chases him down. They start fighting on a train. Punisher gets shot, but he wears a bulletproof vest under his skull, which is why he has the skull. Although he should definitely have a helmet because, you know, that body armor doesn't do much for you if you get shot right there. So, anyway, yeah. So they're having a little bit of a fight. Punisher chucks a knife at him, stabs him in the chest, you know, casual stuff. And then they start fist fighting. Punisher gets a good kick to his chest. The guy goes falling back. His head goes out of a train window. Guy's dead. Don't fight the Punisher hand to hand. It doesn't go well for you. And later, as he's walking back to his battle van, it gets blown up. We find out that Angeli is working with the Trust and kind of just setting him up to join the Trust because Punisher has not joined the Trust, but they kind of buy him all his weapons and stuff. But they want him to just full on kill everyone. We see another mobster. So this is the beginning of part 3, by the way. We see a mobster get mowed down. Punisher kidnaps that mobster because he wants him to kind of set up a peace treaty. He blows up a car like this. They're driving at him. He slips down into a sewer grate, shoots the bottom of the car, probably the fuel tank. Car blows up. Yep, car blows up. There it is. They point their guns at each other, and Punisher is. One thing that this story gets across really well is that Punisher is feared, and nobody wants to take a fight with the Punisher. And Angela. It's Angela. I don't know why I was struggling with that so much. Angela is seducing the Punisher, but she's also the main bad guy of the story, who is this guy in the yellow shirt. She is his girlfriend. And then we see the kid from earlier is still stalking Punisher. He confronts him about it. And then he's like, yeah, you can kill me later, but I've got stuff to do now, so deal with it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. The mobsters have a meeting. He goes in to see the mobster who was his friend. Except it's... So, this is where the story starts getting really interesting. We see a bunch... We see this fake Punisher come in to try and kill this mobster who is Punisher's mob informant, and he goes boom, 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 shoots him, he dies, and then Punisher busts in and shoots him, but they're both wearing the exact same costume, so it looks bad. It looks like they're working together, but they're not. And then we see that there's a full-on squad of 7 of these Punishers. And then we see that the guy running the squad is confronted by the Punisher, puts a machine pistol to his head. Happens. And, yeah. And then the Punisher squad just kind of rushes him. And they're like... And again, everyone's scared of Punisher. As he's chasing this guy, because he just kind of guns him down. The guy that Punisher's chasing fires at Punisher, and there's a family standing by him, and the girl gets shot, and that goes against Punisher's moral code, because like most other superheroes, or heroes in general, he has a moral code. And his moral code is the guilty, the criminals should die, and the innocent, especially the children, should live. And part of that comes from the fact that his wife and children were murdered in Central Park after seeing a mob hit. Yeah, Punisher's kind of a dark character. I don't know if you guys realize that. And yeah, and even the guy that did it, he didn't mean to do it, but that's still the result. And then we see Punisher's girlfriend, I guess, Angela, shoots him, grazes his skull. You know, no big deal. He's fine. He gets up and deals with it because he's the Punisher. And then then we see again one of the fake Punishers get bummed. He's gonna get killed by the real Punisher. And yeah. And we see the warden from earlier who introduced Punisher to the Trust. Everyone's scared of the Trust, too, by the way. He shoots himself as to not get arrested. Then the cops come and arrest Punisher again. And I'm going to read this part. Freeze! Holy, it's the Punisher. We caught the Punisher. Jeez, look at this place. Surrender peaceably, or don't worry, I'll fight the cops. We're on the same side. And that's another part of Punisher's moral code. He doesn't fight the cops. I think that's nice, especially when you see a lot of superheroes will fight the cops at least once. You know, Batman, he's had a few run-ins with the cops. Again, the Punisher squad, comes in, causes problems. Starts shooting up the cop car. One of the cops gets killed, and the cop ends up letting Punisher go to go grab his gun because Punisher's the best he is at what he does. I know that's a Wolverine quote, but it works. And he takes him out, and the Punisher promised he would go back to the Covenant's light. And after that, he just doesn't. So the cop's like, "You promised," and it's just kind of not a big deal. The kid from earlier that wanted to kill Punisher gets kind of kidnapped by Punisher. We see that the bad guy, where's his name? Joey Sabo. Sorry, that bug again, but I think I got it. Joey, yeah. No, it's not Joey Sabo. Joey Sabo is this guy's name. And the bad guy is mind controlling them and making everyone think that they're the Punisher, and that's why it's the Punishment Squad. And he does this because he wants just a squad of killers. And the bad guy is the Punishment Squad. Punisher takes him out. Jigsaw is a member of the Punishment Squad. Punisher reminds Jigsaw who he is, and Punisher just kind of starts walking towards him. Then he gets dropped into the pit where they do the mind control. He takes his glove. He takes his glove off, kind of shoves two of the fingers up his nose, puts the rest over his mouth, makes it a gas mask. He pops off a vent, puts his shirt in the vent, shoots the vent so that it just blows a hole in the wall because, pressurized gas plus a spark equals boom. And then he starts fighting some people again. The Punishment Squad tries to take him out. Then he stabs Jigsaw in the leg. Then he starts punching him in the face and then he's like, you guys still here? To the rest of the Punishment Squad, still with his shirt off because apparently he's an 80s action star now. You guys still here? You guys still want me? Be my guest. Then in the next panel, they're all just running away like the cowards that they are. Then the two with Still can't remember his name. Feel bad. It's just a normal name. So yeah, they run away from their boss, and he gets some good whacking on Punisher. Hits him with the butt of an AK twice. Then he starts running. Alaric. There we go. It said it. Sorry, I'm just very excited. Alaric gets confronted by the Punisher, and Alaric has a dog that's kind of like an attack kill dog. No big deal. It's more useful than most dogs. Punisher points his gun at him. He goes, "It's finished. You're finished." Then we see this panel, which I think is really well set up, this one with the dog. It's like Punisher will get jumped by the dog if he shoots the person, but if he shoots Alaric, so what does he do? He shoots the person and just, boom, hits the dog. And then he calls the newspaper. Then he calls all the news. Then he has Alaric call all the newspapers in town and tell them, "Hey, there's this group called the Trust. They're pretty darn bad." And then it's basically either Punisher will kill him or he'll get killed by the Trust. So Alaric is dead pretty much no matter what. And then he walks away with Punisher's dog. The kid from earlier wants him, has him at gunpoint, but then Punisher tells him, your dad was a criminal, he kind of sucked, that's why I wasted him, and the kid doesn't kill him. And then we see Punisher's, Alaric's girlfriend just kind of driving up here. She tries to run over Punisher because she sees that her boyfriend's dead. He hits the car's radiator. It goes kind of off a bridge. It's hanging off halfway, and considers helping her. But then Punisher's like, "No, you're kind of the worst, so I'm not going to help you." And that's where it ends. It's a tight story. It's very good. I might not have done it very good justice in how I just explained it, but you know what? It's fine. And if, when you can eventually get things from the library again, it's one that I would try to see if it's at your library, because it's very good. And one thing that I would like to say, it's a very violent comic book, but it's not gory at all, really. And I think that's kind of the comic books from the 80s and 70s and 60s in a nutshell. They were violent. They showed people getting killed a lot, and they would show kind of brutal fist fights, and they would show things like that. But anything that was going to be graphic, they would just kind of leave to your imagination, which is kind of the way it should be. I actually especially noticed it with this, where, like I said earlier, a guy shoots his head off with a pistol, kills himself with a pistol. You don't actually see it. You see him go like this, then it cuts, then it's a picture of Punisher. I'm gonna try and find it. Hang on, sorry. And you see him, point the pistol at his head. Ah, here it is. There we go. This is the sequence. You see this, and this. You never actually see. You don't see the actual violence. You just, know what happens. Well, yeah, it's not gory, and so that's basically my thoughts on Punisher, Circle of Blood. Very good comic book story. Yeah, Mike Zeck is a good comic book artist. I also like Mike Vosberg. He's not bad either. Mike Zeck also had a run on Captain America, and he drew Secret Wars, which is a very good limited series, which I'm probably going to do a video on soon, because I really like it. And yeah, so that's basically all I have to say on Punisher, Circle of Blood. And I'm just another guy named James, and I will see you guys next time.